Before we begin, have you ever done something for fun, only to realize too late it was something much, much darker? Let me know in the comments if you've ever played a game that felt wrong. And don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoy stories that dig beneath the surface. I wasn't supposed to be there that weekend, but that's how all bad stories start, right? There were 5 of us: me, Eric, Lena, Tom, and Mara, friends since high school. We hadn't seen each other in years, not all together. Life happens: jobs, cities, marriages, breakups. But then Eric texted us out of the blue last month, one last weekend. Our old spot, before it all changes. The cabin was tucked into the Vermont woods like a splinter under skin, quiet, distant, wrapped in cold fog. It had been in Eric's family forever. His great-aunt built it back when people still carved pentagrams into stone walls to keep witches out. That kind of place. The drive up was long, but familiar. I remembered the winding dirt path, the hollow trees that looked like screaming faces in the headlights, the kind of memories that feel like they don't belong to you anymore. Or maybe you don't belong to them. We arrived in waves. Lena came with Tom. They dated in college, split, now somehow civil. Mara showed up alone, late, her eyes sunken and phone clutched like a crucifix. I was the first one there. I walked the creaking porch, opened the dusty lockbox, and lit the first fire in what felt like centuries. It felt good at first. Comfortable, warm, like slipping into an old coat you forgot you still owned. We laughed, drank, told the same dumb stories from school. It was like we were trying to resurrect a version of ourselves that never really existed. We should have stopped there. Eric found it the second night. The book. We'd gone into the village down the hill, just for something to do. The shops there were like something out of a diorama: old lace curtains, wooden signs carved by hand, that smell of mildew that clings to things that shouldn't still exist. It was in a store with no name. Not really a store at all, just a shadowy little room filled with rusted tools, yellowed paperbacks, and strange dolls that looked like they'd been buried and dug up again. Behind a locked glass case, it sat alone, a weather-warped book about the size of a dinner plate, bound in something that looked like leather but didn't feel like No title. No author. Just a symbol burned into the front, a circle bisected by a jagged line, like a lightning bolt through an eye. Dude, this thing is metal, Eric said. He convinced the owner, a mute man with hands like burnt wood, to sell it for $20. No receipt. No explanation. We laughed the whole drive back. That night, the storm hit. Fat drops of cold rain on the cabin roof. Wind howling like a broken flute. We huddled around the fireplace with beers, and Eric, half drunk, pulled out the book like it was a party trick. I dare someone to read from this. He grinned, flipping the crackling pages. The text was strange, mostly in English, but scattered with phrases in what Lena thought might be Latin, or maybe Gaelic. There were symbols too, sketches of faces with no eyes, a drawing of a figure kneeling beneath a tree with no leaves, mouth sewn shut. Here, Mara said, pointing. This one has instructions. She read it aloud, slow and sarcastic, putting on a fake occult voice. To open the veil and speak through it, you must not lie to your own reflection. Only then shall your past selves answer. Past lives? Tom scoffed. What is this astrology for necromancers? Eric stood, book in hand, and cleared his throat dramatically. Spirits of memory, we summon thee, he intoned, reading from the page. Show us what once was. Bring forward the shadows of ourselves. Let the mirror unmask the soul. Nothing happened. We laughed, booed, clinked bottles. Someone turned the music back on. The fire crackled louder than usual, but that was probably just the wind. Until the lights went out, not just flickered. Dead. The music died. The heater went silent. For a moment, all we heard was the breath of 5 people frozen in surprise. Then a sharp pop, like a blown fuse, and the scent of something sour filled the air, like rotten eggs left in a sealed car. "Did you guys hear that?" Mara asked, her voice suddenly razor-sharp. We turned. She was staring at the far window. There was a shape outside, not moving, just standing, watching. "Probably a deer," Tom muttered, "but deer don't stand upright." The power came back on a few minutes later. No one said anything for a while. Eric shoved the book back in his bag. We opened new drinks. We made jokes. That's how we dealt with fear. Make it small. Make it funny. Make it someone else's problem. I couldn't sleep that night. My bunk was near the hallway mirror, one of those tall, old-fashioned ones in a tarnished brass frame. I kept thinking of that line, "Do not lie to your reflection." At around 3 a.m., I got up to piss. As I passed the mirror, I didn't look, but I still saw it. Out of the corner of my my own face, half turned, smiling back at me when I wasn't. The next morning, Lena said she'd had a nightmare. I was outside, in the woods, but I couldn't see myself. Not in the snow, not in the water. Like I wasn't there. Tom laughed it off. Eric was hungover and cranky. Mara barely touched her food. No one mentioned the book, but it was still there, sitting on the mantel like a wound no one wanted to touch. That's when I noticed something weird. On the first night, Mara had told this long story, something about a guy she dated who thought he could astral project. We all rolled our eyes and moved on. But now she was telling it again. Same tone, same gestures, word for word. I asked her about it later. She blinked, confused. "I didn't tell you that already," she said. "I was saving that story. You told it 2 nights ago." "No, I didn't." I let it go, but I started paying closer attention. That afternoon, Eric mentioned a trip to Portugal we'd taken senior year. Only, he wasn't on that trip. We didn't notice he was missing right away. That's the part that gets me. Tom had always been a drifter. Wandered off mid-conversation. Vanished mid-party. It wasn't weird at first, but by midnight, when he still wasn't back and his phone was dead, the mood started to curdle. Eric and I took flashlights and searched the perimeter. The wind had picked up, dragging wet leaves across the dirt like whispering mouths. The woods behind the cabin were thick with fog, trees creaking like old bones, and no footprints. No trail, just one strange thing. Out by the tree line, about 30 feet from the porch, we found a circle of scorched earth. Perfectly round. Nothing growing in it. The leaves stopped right at its edge, like they'd been pushed back by something breathing. "Was this here before?" I asked. Eric shook his head. "I don't think so." Back inside, Mara was pacing, arms crossed. "I heard something last night," she said. "It wasn't just the storm. It sounded like someone walking inside. Heavy, wet, like dragging feet." Lena nodded, silent. She hadn't said much since the ritual. She kept rubbing her temple, like there was something inside her skull she was trying to scratch away. We called Tom's phone again. Straight to voicemail. We searched until 3 a.m., but it was like he'd vanished into mist. No blood, no signs of a struggle, not even an echo. The next morning, we were all different, not just tired. Off. Eric snapped at Mara for boiling water too loud. Lena flinched when I touched her shoulder. I caught myself staring at the fireplace for what felt like hours. Lost in memories I wasn't sure were mine. I kept seeing a face, not mine. Not anyone I knew. Just a pale face behind the flames, like a mask, floating, empty-eyed. That's when we checked the book again. It had changed. I'm telling you. I swear on everything. I remember the pages being brittle, faded, like a museum artifact. But now, they were darker, inkier, wet-looking. The sketch of the leafless tree was still there, but now there was a figure hanging from one of the branches, shadowed in ink, mouth wide open in a scream. The page after that? A new passage had appeared. He who speaks where none listens shall be heard by what should not speak. Mara slammed it shut. We shouldn't have read it. We shouldn't have even touched it. Eric scoffed. It's a joke. Someone's messing with us. Then where the hell is Tom? That night, the scratching started. Walls. Floorboards. Like something inside the walls was trying to dig its way out. I barely slept. I kept seeing shadows moving at the edges of the room. Not the kind you ignore. The kind that wait for you to notice them. At one point I went to the bathroom and caught my reflection smiling again. But this time, it winked. Lena broke first. She stood in the middle of the living room at dawn, shaking. He's not gone. He's in the woods. I heard him calling, but it wasn't his voice. Eric tried to calm her. She shoved him away. I saw him. Outside. But it wasn't him. It was wearing his face wrong. Like a costume that didn't fit. No one argued. We were past arguing. That afternoon, I found something in the basement. I hadn't meant to go down there. The door was usually locked, but this time it swung open on its own, smooth and silent. The light down there was yellow and sick. The basement was filled with old junk, boxes, furniture, faded books. But at the center, lying open like a trap, was an old tape recorder. I hit play. First static, then breathing, then my voice. I don't remember recording this, it said. Then silence. Then again. I don't remember recording this. Over and over. Louder each time. Until the tape warbled and stopped. I dropped it and backed away. But something caught my eye. On the wall behind the recorder, scratched into the wood with what looked like fingernails. You're the last one who knows you're real. I didn't tell the others. Not then. What would I even say? Instead, I watched them. Mara was humming to herself. A lullaby. Over and over. Same 4 notes. Eric stood for hours at the back window, whispering something to the trees. And Lena, she was gone when I woke up the next morning. We found her coat by the edge of the scorched circle. Her phone was inside the pocket, screen shattered, camera cracked. When I turned it on, the gallery had only one photo. It was taken the night before. It showed the living room, the fireplace, me asleep on the couch, and in the far left corner was Lena staring straight at the camera, eyes black. That left 3 of us. Eric started talking to himself more. Or rather, I think something was talking through him. He'd go quiet, then suddenly whisper a phrase or laugh too sharp, too dry. He told me he remembered things he'd never lived. Waking up in different clothes, knowing names he couldn't explain. I saw myself in the woods, he said. I waved. He didn't. Mara packed her things that night. Said she was walking to the village. It's over. I don't care what happens. I'll walk all day if I have to. I wanted to go with her. I should have. But Eric grabbed my arm and said, she's not Mara anymore. She left anyway and came back 20 minutes later, soaking wet, mud up to her knees, eyes blank. She walked straight into the cabin, sat by the fireplace, and started humming again. Same lullaby. I ran upstairs and locked the door behind me. That was last night. I haven't left the room since. The mirrors won't stop whispering. I don't know if I'm still me. I woke up to silence. but not peace. The kind of silence that feels heavy, like it's waiting for something to happen. Or already has. I didn't hear birds. No wind. No insects. Just the slow, mechanical tick, tick, tick of the hallway clock. Except, there's no clock in this cabin. I opened the door. The hallway was darker than usual, even in daylight. The windows had fogged over from the inside, leaving only dull gray light seeping through. The air smelled like metal and mold. When I stepped onto the floorboards, they didn't creak. They breathed, like stepping on a damp sponge. Downstairs, the fireplace was cold. The furniture overturned. Mara and Eric were gone. At least, I thought they were, until I heard the humming. It came from the kitchen. I followed the sound slowly, each step heavier than the last. The humming was soft, delicate, a child's tune. Familiar now, the one Mara kept repeating. I reached the threshold and saw her, standing in the center of the room, facing the sink, humming. Her back was to me. Her clothes were wrong, mud-stained, and stiff like they'd been frozen and thawed again. Her hair dripped even though it wasn't raining. Mara. I whispered. She stopped humming, and then her head twisted, not turned, twisted too far, bones cracking with each degree, until her chin hovered just above her right shoulder and her eyes stared directly at me, except they weren't her eyes. They were mine. I ran back upstairs, slamming the door behind me. The room pulsed like a heartbeat. I don't know how long I stayed there. The sun never fully rose. Just gray haze pressing against the windows like breath on glass. I flipped through the book, desperate for an answer. For anything. One of the pages was bleeding. Not ink, blood. And where there had once been text, now there was just one sentence scrawled across the top. Do you remember who you were before this life? That night, I dreamed of mirrors, hundreds of them, stretching in all directions. Some were cracked, others smeared. But none of them showed me. They showed moments, snapshots. Eric laughing, then screaming. Lena kneeling in the woods, her mouth sewn shut. Mara walking into the scorched circle, her skin peeling away in layers. Tom digging with his hands in frozen dirt, whispering to something buried underneath. And in every single one, behind them, watching, was me. I woke to footsteps just outside my door. They stopped just beyond the threshold. A knock. Then another. I didn't speak, didn't move, just held my breath until my lungs felt like they'd tear. Then a voice, Eric's voice, only it wasn't really his anymore. You summoned something you forgot you believed in. The next morning, I opened the door. The hallway was empty. Downstairs, the fireplace was lit again. The chairs upright. A pot of coffee brewed, even though no one was there. And in the center of the living room, sitting neatly on the rug, was the book. It was a drawing. A cabin. This cabin. But around it were figures, dozens of them. Some with no faces, some with too many, some tall, some hunched, some crawling, all of them pointing inward, and one, just inside the cabin window, watching the others with a smile that wasn't drawn with ink, it was cut into the page. I took the book outside. I walked until my legs burned, found the circle, threw the book in the center and lit it with a match. The flame sputtered, then turned black. Not smoke, flame. Black fire danced around the edges, consuming the book, then spreading outward, until the entire circle burned like a signal to something overhead. I backed away. The trees shuddered. Something moved just beyond the light. I made it back to the cabin in time to lock the door. That was last night. I haven't seen anyone since, but I've been thinking, not about what happened, about what came before. You see, this wasn't the first time I'd seen that book. When I was a kid, maybe 6 or 7, I had a dream. A recurring one. I was walking through a hallway lined with mirrors, the same ones from before. And at the end, there was a door made of bone. I'd push it open and find a version of me, older, sitting at a table. He'd hand me a book, tell me, "You'll need this someday." And I'd always wake up before I could open it. I thought it was just a nightmare, until I saw the symbol on the cover, the circle with the lightning eye. That's when I realized we didn't summon it. We just invited it back in. It's been 3 days since I burned the book. 3 days without Mara, without Eric, without sleep. I keep thinking about that night, the night we thought we were just having fun, the chanting, the laughter, the way the shadows bent inward like they were listening. We didn't know what we were doing, but that didn't matter. The ritual knew. It remembered. I started writing things down, pages and pages. My memories, dreams, fragments of conversations I'm not sure ever happened. Anything to anchor myself. But the more I write, the less sense it makes. The cabin's layout keeps shifting. One day the kitchen has 2 windows. The next, none. Doors lead to nowhere, or worse, to rooms I don't remember existing. I opened the hallway closet yesterday and found a staircase leading down. It wasn't there before. I closed it. Didn't dare descend, but now it's the only door that won't shut. Last night, I finally heard Tom or something using Tom's voice. It came from the woods again, soft, just above the wind, saying my name over and over. Come see. Just that. Come see. So I did. I don't know why. Maybe I needed to end it. Maybe I already knew it wouldn't. The forest was wrong. The trees leaned too far forward. The sky was too still, like someone had painted over it in gray. Every breath felt like it was being borrowed from something older. I followed the voice until I reached the scorched circle. It was no longer empty. Tom stood in the center, only not Tom. His mouth was sewn shut with twine, his eyes black and unblinking. His arms hung slack, and something moved just beneath his skin, like worms tangled in meat. He pointed behind me. I turned and saw them. Lena, Mara, Eric, standing between the trees, watching, all of them empty-faced, hollow, like puppets held up by invisible strings. Then the ground beneath the circle opened, not cracked, peeled, like skin revealing raw muscle underneath, and from it came a shape. Or something trying to be a shape, too many limbs, not enough faces, a scream with no mouth, a presence that presses against your thoughts like fingers pushing through wet paper. It didn't walk. It spilled forward. Every step was a sound that never ends. A groan from beneath the earth, a voice older than language. It reached out with a limb that wasn't a hand, touched Tom. He collapsed, like a marionette with its strings cut. The creature turned to me, and then it spoke. Not aloud. Inside my head, inside everything. You were the last gate. I ran. The trees tried to stop me. Branches curved like claws. Roots pulled at my ankles. I don't know how I made it back. Maybe it let me. The cabin was dark, but not empty. Mara was sitting in the living room, holding something in her lap. It was the book, unburned, unmarked. She looked up and smiled, but her eyes were mine again. You brought it back, she said. I didn't respond. I couldn't, because now I remembered everything. The ritual wasn't just for summoning. It was a test. A filter. To find the one who remembered, and I passed. I saw flashes of other lives, other cabins, other people who read the words, said the chant, and vanished screaming. All of them part of the same story, and always, one remained. One survivor. The last one. Not because they escaped, but because they were chosen. I am the last one. Not the victim. The entity doesn't want death. It wants a voice. A way in. And the only way in is through someone who believes. I looked at the book. Its cover shifted in the firelight. The symbol burned, not glowing, burning, and a name appeared beneath it.my name. Now I understand the final rule. You don't escape the ritual. You become the next chapter. I'm writing this down because soon I won't be me anymore. Soon I'll be the one who knocks on someone else's door in the dark, the one humming a tune no one taught me, the one whispering, "Come see." If you find this, if you're reading these words, close the book. Burn it. Don't look back. And if you hear something outside, don't answer, because it might be me. Would you have walked into those woods? Or would you have burned the book from the start? Leave a comment below, and be sure to subscribe, because next time, it might be you who hears the chant.